Maybe. And we are live tonight with Joe Lee, who has a book launch today. It comes out tomorrow, I guess, right?
Yep, that's correct.
And do you have a copy of your book handy?
Yes, I do. It is right here. It's called Upscaled.
Nice.
It's the first in the Dragons of Nora series.
Could you hold that a little closer to the camera?
Oh, yeah, of course. So
is that like a little tiny dragon with like a birthday hat on?
Yeah, and like a little birthday pie. So the
excellent.
The series, like the book, is just based. It's a quick, cozy read about a young girl finds a hatching dragon, and then she just wants to throw him a birthday party. And this is set in a world where an Inquisition has quote unquote purged dragons from the land, when in reality the dragons just got tired of the bother, migrated north, and just kind of stayed away from humans for fair reasons. But this is the first dragon that's been seen in generations. So this is a pretty momentous occasion, and what better way to celebrate than by throwing a birthday party?
Clearly. So it's kind of in a more modern setting?
It's rooted a bit more in Celtic folklore. So it's probably set probably more like a medieval-ish setting.
They had birthday hats and
yeah, why not?
Okay, the cover just made it look very, very modern.
Yeah, there are definitely some modern twists in it, like pop culture references that are very anachronistic to the actual setting, but it's much more a comedic, tongue-in-cheek, like Pratchett-esque storytelling.
Is this your first book?
No, this is my fifth published book. So my previous series is called The Spellbinders and the Gunslingers. It was more historical fantasy, dark fantasy, bordering grimdark. And I released the final book of that series in June. So that series is all wrapped up. At that point, I just needed a mental reset, just because it was very dark. Excuse me, a very dark, heavy subject matter. And at that point, it's like, you know what? I'll just write the complete opposite of that. And so I dove into cozy fantasy, and part of it was also because I wanted to write something that my niece and nephew could enjoy. They're 11 and 8, and something very something very dark and dark heavy, like the previous series was. Not really in their wheelhouse. So decided to have a lot more fun with cozy dragons, birthday parties, riffs on the Spanish Inquisition. Just had a blast with it.
Because that's how you write light, funny things, as you include the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's definitely some Python absurdity thrown into.
Excellent. I think I'm seeing more now of the kind of the cozy's kind of making its way into everything, right? I won't say that. So fantasy, I think, is a really good vehicle for that, and I think you kind of hit on that thing with with a young girl and a little baby dragon kind of thing. Is this dragon going to get much bigger, or is it always that size?
It's always this size. So this is freshly hatched, straight out of the egg. So we get to see a baby dragon and a little small adventure on this with this little dragon. So it's not going to be this grand sweeping epic. It's not going to be like a Ryan Cahill broad dragon rider adventure story. It's just very small, self-contained, and just it's really just kind of one of those kick your feet up, just grab a tea and relax with it type of book.
Nice. Not a big old wooden stein of beer or anything, but a nice cup of tea and sit down with you.
Yeah, a nice cup. Have some pie with it. Why not?
Yeah, you were in the UK, weren't you?
I was.
Let's just throw some between two things and take it and go pie.
Yeah, I actually just came back from the UK. I was at Worldcon a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
So, and gradually I have to force all the UK lingo out of my head again. As I do every time that I go over there.
So Worldcon, tell us all about it.
Yeah, it was really overwhelming. It was my first.
Start, but okay.
Overwhelming in a really good way. It was my first convention experience, so it was like a big one to jump in on. But I only did one day there. I only did the Saturday there, but still got to meet up with some friends. My friend Joel Silva is like great for just like letting me like tag along with him and just like drag me wherever he's going and introduce me to people, because I'm going to be way too shy to do that myself. But it was a really cool experience just getting to see all these different authors and book bloggers just all together in this massive place. I missed seeing George Martin by about like 2 minutes. But yeah, it's just like all these authors, big and small, bloggers, big and small, just getting to chat with them. It was a really cool experience.
So what type, did you go in any of the sessions where you got to kind of sit down and listen to people and whatever?
So I went to one panel that was on like fanzines. Like Beth Tabler from Before We Go Blog was one of the speakers for it. And then there's like I want to say 2 or 3 other people who I wasn't familiar with. But it was a really cool experience just getting to listen in on all these on what goes into planning fanzines, from the cover to like the content, and yeah, just cool to hear some of that perspective too. Afterwards, I'm blanking on his last name, but Adrian from Grimdark Magazine was listening on that panel too, so chatted with him for a little bit as well. And yeah, and that's it was really fun. That was the only panel that I listened in on, but otherwise it was just a lot of wandering around and seeing who I would bump into.
So I'm assuming you didn't go over there just for that one day and turn around and come back.
Oh no, I was there for a wedding, and it just happened that that Worldcon was the exact same weekend, so it was just really convenient.
Yeah.
Did you thank your friend?
No, he was probably a little busy enjoying being married. So I guess yeah. I mean, well, yeah, it's like one day post wedding, let him enjoy it, I guess, and see how he feels the next day, right?
See if he invites you back next year for the anniversary party. Tell him to have it in Seattle. You'll be set.
Yeah.
Ooh. So what is next for Joe Lee?
So I have written the second book, like the sequel to Upscaled. I have that. I have the first draft of that done. Sent it off to my editor a couple weeks ago. That was one of my final checklist items before I go to Worldcon and say, okay, finish this up and send it along. So yeah, that's going to be releasing probably towards the beginning of 2025. It'll be same vein, still cozy comedic fantasy, but and like smaller package. And then after that, I'm diving back into large scale epic fantasy. So I'm laying down the groundwork for that right now. Excuse me. And really probably going to spend a good chunk of the rest of the year outlining and probably getting some work done on the first book. Hopefully getting it done, ready to go towards the end of 2025, beginning of 26. So it will probably be depending on how much this book takes off. I may even like dive into more like anthology type of series, like kind of like what Pratchett did with Discworld, have very like various unrelated stories, but maybe with like some recurring characters, recurring themes, and really just kind of doing pastiches of however many things I can create dragon pun titles for.
Nice.
Bloody hell.
I have a question, Ro. Can
Good,
I go?
Mike, go run with it.
All right. So actually, you and I are a little bit in the same boat because I just launched my sci-fi book and I'm writing a different fantasy series, even though I haven't finished my first fantasy series yet.
Mhm.
And I paid for book tours, and the next week is the start of a 2-week book tour, and I got 40 bloggers who are going, and I'm like, if this takes off, I'm probably going to have to stop what I'm working on and work on a novella for this sci-fi to put something else out to keep the. So I don't know what I'm going to be working on in September.
Mhm.
I'm like, kind of depends. If people actually are interested in my book, I might have to stop. And I'm like, but I don't want to. I don't like stopping and jumping. So how do you manage it with all your fame and fortune that has come?
Yes, all the dozens of dollars that have been pouring in. um, yeah, no, it's funny because the
Dozens? You're lucky.
no, it's funny because this epic fantasy series that I'm starting work on now, it's one of those series that I've been thinking about for better part of probably about like getting close to about 20 years now. And it's one of those series that started off like really terrible when I was in high school, and then got less and less terrible as the years went on. And actually started writing like an early draft of an early idea of it about like 3 or 4 years ago. Got about 70,000 words into it, and then just stopped because I decided to focus instead on what would become the Bleeding Stone in my first series that I did wind up publishing. And then, so that's been something that I've been looking forward to starting all year. And then so many people have been like tell me how excited they are for Upscale to come out. And then when I was at Worldcon talking to a couple people like Joel Silva, Lauren McRae, I was talking to a lot at Worldcon, and she's saying, you should really just focus on Upscaled and all the books related to it, because probably going to draw in a lot more people. But it's like, yeah, that's tempting because they're going to be shorter. I can kind of just shit post with it, which is kind of like what I wound up doing for a lot of Upscaled, was just me being in a very sarcastic mood and just going at it for a solid month straight. At the same time, it's just like, okay, but I've also been looking forward to like actually writing this massive series for like close to 20 years. So it's just like, I want to do this. People are more interested in this. So I don't know. It's a weird balance to strike of like, okay, of writing the thing that you've been looking forward to your whole life, or just continuing on with something that you just kind of an idea you came up with in a weekend and just like blitz through in a month. And people are a little more excited for the thing that you've been thinking about less for. So I don't know, it's a strange balance, but I guess that's just kind of the name of the game, where you just kind of find gold where you don't expect to.
Yeah.
You threw away 70,000 words. I mean, didn't throw them away, but you wrote 70,000 words, just put it aside.
Yeah. So it was a,
how the hell do you do that?
So when I was, so flashback to early 2020, before we were even aware of how much everything was going to go topsy-turvy. And I was working on that, but then I gradually started getting more and more of this idea of what would become the Bleeding Stone, my first book. And all of a sudden, that just demanded more and more of my attention. Like, I thought that this would be something that people would really eat up at the time. And specifically, like, publishers would eat up at the time. They didn't, but that's what I was thinking in 2020. And at that time, because of how big I knew this epic fantasy series was going to be, I didn't want that to. The more I thought about them, I didn't want that to be my first foray into publishing. I kind of wanted to get my feet wet, kind of hone my skills a bit more, hone the craft a bit more, because the more I thought about, the more I just wasn't ready for something of that size. So did something a bit smaller in scope. Smaller relatively. Those still wound up being on average like 150, 160,000 words. But yeah, but I'm doing a full trilogy like that rather than a massive this new series that I'm going to be working on right now. I'm thinking about 8 books. Having a completed trilogy, like just working on that, getting everything basically just like learning how to properly write a full series. It felt a lot easier to do that with just like a smaller trilogy than with a massive series. So it was definitely a hard decision to just throw everything out and just stop right there. But I think it was the right decision, because there was definitely too much that I was trying to do in that first iteration of the book that I threw away. And like with hindsight, I'm glad that I had like the 4 years to kind of just look back on that and reflect that, okay, what I was trying to write in that one book, I can easily stretch into 3. So let's start fresh on that and then see where it takes us from there.
So are you writing as a full-time gig or?
Oh no, if I could survive on dozens of dollars, I would totally do it. But
so what do you do?
So I work in higher education in tech transfer. So I work in I work at one of the universities in Boston, basically helping with their patent portfolio.
Do you work at Harvard?
No, I don't work at Harvard.
You would have been the first person to do so and not say it. So it was worth the ask.
Yeah, I will say I used to work at MIT doing the same thing, but that's the I guess step 2. If they don't work at Harvard, they'll tell you they work at MIT. But
it's kind of fun working in higher ed, though. Just that kind of the way the cycle turns every year. Just the repetitiveness of it is actually kind of almost soothing. That that you have exams and you have break and then second semester and blah blah blah. It's an interesting rhythm, I guess.
Yeah, and especially in the summer where all the students are gone, so it's
you get to find parking spaces again.
Yeah, it's so quiet around campus. It's just like walking around campus is really interesting, especially like around finals season, because there's like everybody's saying it's like, oh, I have finals this week, this is terrible, and I'm just walking by thinking, oh, I have heartburn, this is terrible. But
I saw 2 guys walking around the university here a few years back, and they were wearing like bathrobes and shorts and carrying highball glasses and just walking along, just drinking, some type of brown liquor and just loving life, So yeah, you get all sides, and we dropped off my daughter this week as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all student arrival week this week, which means you can't find a parking space anywhere or a restaurant seat, or it's just a mess, but it's fun.
It's gonna be around that time here. I've seen some people moving in already, but September 1st is the big moving day in Boston. So at least there will be at least 1 or 2 incidents of someone crashing a box truck on a low bridge that's right by that I used to be able to see from my office window. So
I love Boston traffic. You can drive in Boston. You can drive pretty much anywhere.
Oh, that's what I've been saying. I hate driving in it so much. It makes me so anxious, but I can probably handle anywhere else. So
yeah. There's only 1 or 2 places I've been that are worse than Boston, but it's hey, how can someone find you? John Stevenson has been looking you up here while we've been talking, and I think we're giving him an aneurysm because he's not. He said there's a lot of Joe Lees out there.
Yeah, it's a shockingly a very common name. You can find me on most social medias. Twitter and Instagram is where I post the most.
Where can you find your books?
Books. Amazon, just search Joseph John Lee. The Bleeding Stone was my first book. Upscaled is the one that's coming out tomorrow. And yeah.
Okay. You gotta search the whole name. That's That's probably what he's looking for. There you go, John. Go get it.
So how many words is upscaled?
Oh, it's only about 50,000, so it's a very quick read.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You mentioned earlier that you were putting something together in hope that publishers would like it. Do you still try to go trad, or are you just fully on board the indie train now?
I'm on board the indie train right now. Trying to go trad, that was just like it takes such a mental toll on you when that's like, and I'm sure that's been the case for many indie authors. But yeah, I spent probably a good year or two trying to land an agent for the Bleeding Stone. One of the things that really kind of just drove me toward indie was I did a virtual writers conference back in 2021, I want to say, and I signed up for a couple short sessions that were basically kind of like elevator pitch meetings with prospective agents. And one of them made the comment that for a publisher to want to pick up the book, especially from a debut author, I would have had to shave off about 40,000 words. And that just seemed like way too much work to figure out which 40,000 words needed to be cut out, just to shave it down to 100,000. And it always just feels kind of like the goalposts are always moving for like what publishers are looking for at any given moment anyway. That what an agent may think is going to be palatable this year, it probably won't be next year, because there will be a new trend that publishers are going to want to focus in on. So
I think agents are a lot like weathermen. They've got a lot of data and everything to support their presumption, but they're almost always wrong.
Right. Yeah. So it's, or like they're just working off of a data that worked well like a few days ago, but tomorrow it's going to be
like the almanac coming out.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we looked at all this stuff and we know what's happening for you this winter. By the way, it's going to be wet and cold.
So horror story for you. When I was starting out and I went to local writers club, it was right after Twilight came out, and a woman had talked to an agent, and she was literally told, cut half of your book and add a vampire. And she's like, it's not paranormal. Like, cut half your book, add a vampire, and we'll talk. And they're like, okay, thanks.
You know what, though? I think if an agent or a publisher told me that, I would say, well, you put something in writing and I will do that work.
Mm-hmm.
I will pour myself out like that. Absolutely.
They would never do that, Ro. They have so many people throwing stuff at them that they can be ridiculous and still select books.
If I could find a fun way to do a vampire, I think I would. Like maybe a vampire who can only get sustenance if he sucks the blood from drunk people. Oh yeah, because Grommy would be quite the Romeo, wouldn't he?
So, Ro, I'm going to give you an idea for a story.
Yeah, bring it.
Because I had this on one of our shows, so that'd be really interesting, but I'm never going to write urban fantasy. But elves are alive, but because they live forever, everyone mistakes them for vampires. And so their whole thing is everyone thinks they're a vampire when they're not. And they, hide in the shadows because otherwise people come hunting for them and whatnot. I think you should write that story because I'm never going to.
Yeah, I'm not either. John Stevenson. Joe, don't look up Joe John Lee. Joseph John Lee. I know why I like you and are making fun of you. 1,400 top ranked in humorous comedy. Okay. So we'll get there, man. We have all in the world for you.
And I would recommend for you read the Vampire Accountant series if you want a fun take on vampires.
Vampire cat. There's no way you're putting the word accountant on something and saying it's fun.
So the whole title, I think, is The Completely Boring and Uninteresting Life of Fred the Vampire Accountant.
All right, you have me interested.
It's by Drew Hayes. It's a whole series. It's wonderful. I can't wait till the next one comes out, which apparently is going to be the last one in the series, and that makes me sad.
I think if I had a vampire, it would be like one that like make the tooth mark and then stick in a straw, because he doesn't like getting his mouth on someone's neck or something. Anyway. Okay, enough of that. So nobody here cares, but I do. Up in Boston, where Joseph is, they have marshmallow fluff, which if you've never tried a Fluff-A-Nutter dunked in chocolate milk, you do not know what you're missing, and you need to go do it now. I mean, not now, after the show. Then go do it.
I mean, if you have the supplies now, go do it now. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Dig in. We'll be here for a little while longer, right?
Let us know what you think.
Just
It's
crank
the
up the
best
volume.
thing
Crank up the volume and you're good. Because you want Ro and I shouting at you. That's the aesthetic that we're going for with this show.
People dunking their sandwiches. We have so many problems. So what the hell, Mike? You got a dumb question?
Always. I'm going to roll for it.
Dave Lawson says, are we having a chocolate milk chugging contest? Yeah, Dave, go for it, man. Tell us your best time on a 16-ounce glass.
Okay, Joe. Who is your main character in Upscaled? Would you say it's a dragon or a little girl?
So it's a little girl named Ailish. She's actually based loosely on my niece. So going back to writing this book for my niece and nephew, both of them have a presence in this book. So a few other real life people. So my sister and their mother is a major character. A very I wouldn't say a very awkward version of myself, because I am a very awkward person anyway, but a very accurate version of myself is in there. I have a version of my wife is in there. One of my friends I decided to depict as an angry gnome at his own urging. But yeah, long story short, the main character's name is Ailish. She's 11 years old and wants to throw a birthday party for a dragon, as any 11-year-old would want to do.
In medieval times.
So I'm going to open this up to Ailish and the dragon both, because if they were in the woods by themselves, could they start a fire?
So probably not, because this dragon actually can't breathe fire. And
so it's a cat.
It's kind of more like a cat than a dragon, yeah. But no, like within this world, there dragons have different elemental affinities. So there are dragons that breathe fire. This one commands is more like a wind dragon, so it commands winds. Wind kind of just like blows out fires, doesn't really set them. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is probably not wanting to trust Ailish in the kitchen. Very early on, she makes an attempt at a pie that it was really just like throwing berries and dumping some flour into a tin and calling it a day.
How old is she?
11.
11 in medieval times? She should be getting married soon. She should know how to make a pie.
Yeah, I mean, give it to age 12.
All right.
So
yeah, maybe I guess.
Random fact that no one wants to know, but I'm going to share anyway.
She's middle age already at 11. Middle ages.
I actually made and brought in a water pie to work just because people didn't believe it actually existed.
What the hell are you doing?
It's a recipe from the 30s when they didn't have much. So you literally take your pie crust, you pour water into it, you throw in flour and butter, and you bake it, and you get almost like a Jell-O pie by the time you're done. And I didn't want to use water, so I actually used Mountain Dew and made a Mountain Dew pie with that sickly yellow. And I made everyone try it, and everyone's like, I don't want to eat this. And they're like, I don't hate it. I so want to hate this, but I don't hate it. So yeah, that's literally butter, water, flour, and a pie crust, and you can make your own water pie.
What's the chemistry secret? Could you switch out the Mountain Dew for, I don't know, vodka?
Well, for some alcohol probably, but it's the flour. Once it gets wet, it unwinds, and that's what holds it together and keeps it, kind of gelatinous. So if you have too much alcohol, that's not going to work nearly as well. So
It sounds like it really sucks.
it is not terrible. I agree with everyone else, and that's the strongest anyone would go. Is it's not terrible. No one wanted a second piece though. So
I don't think I believe you.
I feel like it would pair well with like a nice bag of Doritos too, maybe.
Crunchy on the top there, a little condiment on the top.
Well, maybe smoke some pot, and then you'll be hungry enough to want to eat it all. So, there are flavor enhancers like that.
Okay, so Mike, what's this 11-year-old girl and cat dragon going to do?
You mean Joe?
Yeah,
Oh.
you were going to.
The story was if they could, or the question was if they could start a fire. But here, let's do another question. 17. One of my favorite questions. What's the last research rabbit hole that you explored way too deeply when writing a book?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to think about this one. I mean, I feel like the one that probably put me on a watch list is
Oh, good.
What are the stages of decomposition for a body after it dies? So, and like I felt like after that, like whatever NSA agent was just like watching me like Google shit and was just like, Billy, I just say this is for a book, please believe me. But yeah, no, I definitely went on a little bit of a rabbit hole of what happens to a body after it dies. Because it was like, okay, this body's been dead for like a week. What's gonna look like right now? So you definitely learn a lot of things when you're just like researching like how to depict things, like how to depict events like post battles, because there was most people who have read the Spellbinder series will tell you it is very emotionally damaging for various reasons, and
that's what I like. Good, sit down with a good book and be emotionally damaged. There's nothing quite like that.
Yeah, just like
it's like reading your reviews, I guess. Except
yeah,
it's not yours.
There's no better feeling than just feeling like you're getting your heart ripped straight out of your ass, right? Like, but
well, that was uncomfortably graphic.
yeah, maybe I could have gone down the rabbit hole with that too, but so shockingly I did not.
Okay, we're peeling back a layer of Joe here.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have this kid fight something or what, there, Mike?
I almost rather have about your Spelljammer series. I don't want to put a little girl into make her fight something. That just seems mean.
Oh, they don't have to win. Come on.
So I'll leave it up to
She's
Joe.
the one walking through the woods with a little dragon cat. Let her, take the consequences. Roll the dice. You take your chances.
Ugh. Okay, Joe. So from your first series,
yeah,
let's do that. I'm going to roll a bunch of dice, and then I'm going to tell you the scenario. You have to tell us a story.
Dice and make up the number he wants anyway.
Okay.
That number should be at least like 40 something with that many dice.
The first one is an 18.
How many dice are you rolling?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
How do you get 18? You rolling like two-sided dice or what?
I'm rolling a 20-sided die for the first one, and it's 18. Each die corresponds to a color. I got to color code it. I have a spreadsheet, bro.
You're a sad little man.
Anyway, so this is taking place in a labyrinth-like city built in the branches of a giant tree. I rolled this before. Maybe do we want to do a different one?
Oh, just carry on, man.
No, let's do that. Okay. So a giant labyrinth city in the branches of a giant tree. This is where it's taking place.
Mm-hmm.
You have a fuzzy potion that is the color of, someone in the comments tell us what color this potion is. That you do not know what it does. You can either drink it or you can throw it at your adversary, and whatever it does, it'll affect you or them exactly the same. Now, your choice comes. You can have a regular item as your weapon, or you can have an actual weapon. If you choose a regular item, you face a regular animal. If you choose the real weapon, you face a fantasy creature.
It's a fuchsia potion, apparently. Dave says fuchsia.
Dave's fuchsia potions. Whatever color fuchsia is, it is a fuchsia potion.
I would have said plaid, but whatever.
My favorite color is clear, but details. So regular. You want a regular item, or do you want a weapon?
Let's do a. Let's do a regular item. Let's just have fun with this.
Okay, you now are the proud owner of a wagon wheel.
All right.
You could have had a war club, so you're probably better off. So now you must face not a swarm of giant spiders. That's if you would have had the club. So you really lucked out here. Instead,
she's an 11-year-old girl with a wagon wheel. She's lucky as hell.
Well, she's facing a lion. And we said this from your first series, not the little girl. I'm not going to kill a little girl on air. So you have your fuzzy potion that's fuchsia, and you have a wagon wheel, and you have a dragon, and you're in a labyrinthine like city in the branches of a tree. I didn't know what lions got into trees, but there you are. So
okay.
What happens next?
Okay. So I wrote everything down. Just want to make sure I got everything right. So
it doesn't matter if you do or not. You can make it up.
All right. Labyrinth City in a giant tree. Yep. There are lions up there at for some reason.
Yes, there's a lion that you went to a courtyard, and lo and behold, there's a lion that is stalking you.
Okay. There's a fuchsia fuzzy potion that I can either drink or throw, and I have a wagon wheel. And did you say there was a dragon, or did I just hear that wrong?
You've got a dragon.
It's your main character. Now, if you want it to be the little 12-year-old girl and be really cruel, you can do that, or you can take a character from your first series.
Okay. You know what? I'll do from upscale, because I feel like this could work in somehow well. So Ailish is wandering the woods, and with her new hatchling dragon on her shoulders, she takes it upon herself to climb up this tree for some reason. And as things go in medieval Ireland, a lion shows up because for some reason the English decided that the lion was going to be their emblem, so they had to import it from somewhere.
Well, yeah, the English had 4, and they're the 3 lions, so they had to kick one to Ireland.
Yeah, of course, because if there's one thing that the England like to do, it's just, okay, fuck Ireland, and then here, go deal with a lion.
Well, see, they did that in reverse. They brought the lion over before they built the Colosseum, so they just they had it all backwards.
So this Ailish comes to Ailish looks ahead and finds this maze-like city up in the trees that somebody built, and being 11 years old, she sees nothing wrong with this. She just goes straight forward, as one does.
Right, as one would do. Yeah.
In her bag was a fuzzy potion that she was supposed to bring home from the market to her mother, but she decided that she wanted to go for a walk in the woods instead. And she never questioned why her mother wanted to get her a fuzzy potion. She's realizing that she was supposed to get a red potion, but fuchsia looked more fun, so she decided to take that instead. as she's walking through this labyrinthine city, the dragon squawking on her shoulder,
Let me interrupt you right there while you're thinking
Sure.
this next sentence. You've never actually seen this game, have you?
I've not. I watched I think I've watched like the first half of like a few videos and just never got to this point.
That's fair. I
You're
mean,
in the ball dome.
we're not
This
going to
is the
complain
ball
about that. We've never seen anybody actually try to make a legitimate story out of this before. Is my point. So this is awesome. Carry on.
As she's exploring the branches, she's finding that there's no sign of life here, save for a wagon wheel that's just rolling on its own, independent of a wagon. There's rustling behind her, and knowing that her dragon's already on her shoulder, she thinks, this is probably bad. There's probably someone following me, or somebody also thought it'd be a really fun idea to just go climb some trees today. Less fun is seeing a lion climb up after you, because naturally that's just what happens in the woods, right?
Right.
She pulls out the fuchsia potion, wondering why her mother wanted her to pick this up in the first place. Takes a whiff of it. Doesn't really smell like anything. She gets bored with it and chucks it at the lion's head.
What does it do?
So the potion is a draft of elemental fury, so it imbues
You're fucked.
the recipient with the ability to summon elemental powers.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, that's bad.
Luckily, for plot reasons,
She has a singing sword +5 vorpal blade. Go.
so
Now-
I'm getting minorly into spoiler territory for Upscaled. There is a plot point where dragons can bond with whomever is nearby when they hatch. So when this dragon hatched, Ailish came into abilities, like basically came into the ability to manipulate the wind. Quick Cliff Notes version of that. So sure, the lion may have elemental abilities, but Ailish already had them anyway. So get fucked, lion. She noticing that the wagon wheel is still just kind of spinning in place, spinning its wheel in the mud, spinning itself in the mud because there's mud up in the tree for some reason.
Sure.
There's a city up here. Why can't there be mud? She reaches back, calls forth a gust of wind. The wheel ends up.
Heck me, Pat. Okay.
The wheel is called to her hand, and she winds up her arm, hurls it forward. Gust of wind behind the throw goes right towards the lion's head, and the lion does the same exact thing. It calls forth some wind, and the wind just meets the wind hits the wagon wheel. It just meets in the middle. It's like that scene from the
merry-go-round was invented.
It's like that scene from The Last Jedi where Rey and Kylo Ren are just like have Luke's lightsaber just dangling in the middle of them. There was a fly in my face just now. And
it was just a win. Nice job.
yeah, just went and fucked off right there. And then the I don't remember what happened in the Last Jedi. Didn't like the lightsaber break in half or something? Let's just say that happens to the wagon wheel, and then I don't know.
The big spokes go right through the lion's head.
Yeah, there we go.
Or through the little girl's head. I don't know which way.
Just not the
yeah, let's just like send them into the lion. Why not? That seems more palatable to this middle grade YA audience.
Yes.
And then they had a big barbecue in the Tree City.
Yeah, they got dinner, and like instead of a potion to bring home, Ailish brings home a dead lion, and dinner was served.
And it's still cozy.
Yeah, and they had tea at the end of it, I guess.
It's the first time we've ever gotten like someone attempting a real story out of this. That was wow. Shed a little tear there. 158 episodes later, we had somebody do something. And they actually threw your stupid potion at somebody, Mike.
I know. It's become more common now since I complained. Now everybody wants to throw potions or drink potions or what have you. So thank you for that. That was a bald dome that you entered.
Well, like I said, went into this not expecting that at all, because apparently I've never watched far enough into a video.
You gotta watch deep. Okay, so with your book launch, let's go back to that for a sec.
Yeah.
What have you been doing to get that out? I mean, somebody in the comments said they've been seeing the picture all over the place, so you're obviously doing something right. So for those of us who absolutely suck at this, what is it that you did? When did you start? Walk us through that.
So, so I really started to get my marketing push going on probably around June or so. I did a call out for ARC readers. Had a big sign up session for it. Sent out a batch to probably about, I want to say like 40 readers or so. And and this was all before the actual cover reveal. People were just kind of going on off of like the blurb that was on Goodreads. Then I had my cover reveal in July. After that, I did a second call out for ARC readers, which got me probably an additional, let's say probably like 25, 30 signups for that.
So I have to ask, where did you send these out to get so many ARC readers?
I just posted on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
And then I already had an ARC team built up from my last release as well. So just gradually building like a team of ARC readers that I know I can just send out to, and then I just add more people to it with each new release. But something I did differently this time around was also putting it up on NetGalley and Book Sirens. Book Sirens only got me probably about, I want to say like 12 to probably like 10 to 12 signups. But NetGalley, to offset the cost of that, I joined a NetGalley co-op. So normally NetGalley is like something like $500 to put it up on NetGalley for like 6 months. But with a co-op, I use the one with Victory Editing. For about $50, you can they'll put you on NetGalley for a month, and I got a ton of signups from that. I think probably close to 200 people were interested in an ARC for it. I think I approved probably somewhere between like 150, 160. And this is just largely based on like the compatibility with basically just vetting the people requesting if you think it'll be a good fit for them. Especially if they link their Goodreads in their page, you can see what other books that they've read and enjoyed. So NetGalley was definitely gave me like a big push. It's probably my most successful launch so far. And part of that was probably just because it's a much more palatable and easily marketable book than my previous book dealt a lot with colonialism and anti-imperialism and genocide and like things that are really warm and cozy, so I really had to get dark and gritty with birthday parties and newborn dragons and Ireland. So
Joe, I have to ask, did you kill a dog in any of your books?
No, but I killed a whole shitload of people.
Yeah, that's fine. But dogs or horses? Any dogs or horses get killed?
Oh, actually, not a dog. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna stop right there because it was like a massive spoiler what I was about to say. So never mind.
Okay.
But no dogs.
Okay. So I was actually booed on last night when I did my interview because I actually killed a dog in my first book.
Oof, that's rough.
Did you?
Well, he died heroically.
I don't remember.
See, it's that meant that much to him.
No, it's a beautiful thing about getting older is you forget things like this. You go back and read the book again. It's like reading it for the first time. It's like I've got like 5 books.
EL has been unbanned apparently. So he wants to know what's your hit rate on quality ARC readers?
Like as far as as far as hit rate, mean like people who sign up but then still
people who do it and are actually good at it
and actually give a review,
who give you some useful feedback.
Yeah, I'd say probably I'd say like from like my actual ARC reader list, because I'd say probably hard to say. I'd want to say probably about like 40-50%. I feel probably signed up and left a review, which is a solid number. I mean, for like a small sample size. With NetGalley, like I said, I approved probably about probably close to like 150 or so. The total rankings on Goodreads right now is it's approaching 50. So there's spillover from my ARC reader list and also from NetGalley. So I want to say like probably like the feedback on NetGalley. I want to say there was maybe like 30 to 4 net. Yeah, maybe around 30. I want to say were from NetGalley. So also my math is shit. So my numbers are definitely way off from what they probably actually are. But yeah, and
the pertinent question: who should he buy this book for? I mean, Roe obviously, but who else?
Yeah, I would have said Roe as well, but no, it's a good middle grade YA audience. So if you have like me, like I've said before, I wrote this for my niece and nephew. If you have young nieces and nephews or young children, they would definitely eat this up. But there's also plenty of humor in there that's palatable to an adult audience that I put in there so adults can still read it. So I want to say it's a very wide-reaching net. If you really love like the works of Pratchett, if you like Monty Python absurdity, if you like the cozy vibes of like Legends and Lattes, if you like if you're a fan of like Quen B. Olson's books, the Miss Percy's Pocket Guide series, like this definitely fits that vibe as well, I think. So, but really, it's I kind of view it a little bit kind of similar to shows from the 90s, like Rocko's Modern Life or Ren and Stimpy, that were, like they were children's shows, but they were just filled with dick jokes. So thinking of it like this, just without the dick jokes, there's just humor that kids won't really fully get, but adults probably will. So, yeah, that's my very long-winded answer to that.
So, and EO also wants to know, did you ever do any book tours? I'm guessing not if you got that many ARC readers.
So I've done I did one book tour for my first book that I didn't really get a lot out of, if I'm honest. It was for a book tour company that's no longer running. But my experience with it was half the people who signed up didn't even do anything for it. They didn't even mention it at all. So it kind of burned me off of doing book tours for a little while. I might revisit with a different book. Maybe the sequel to this one, I might revisit it. But yeah, no, for the time being, I'm kind of holding off on doing book tours. Also, hi Nick.
Where's your bang for the buck to make your dozens of dollars a month?
What do you mean by where the bang for?
How do you what's worked out the best for you as far as getting the word out about your book that actually results in sales?
I think really just kind of word of mouth is what helps me the most. Ads are always tricky because you're trying to find the right keywords to put in Amazon, and it's just kind of a big money sink that isn't always fully replenished. But just kind of finding like the right audience to just kind of yell at it on Twitter has definitely helped. And also just having like a good support system has definitely helped. The writing group that I'm part of, like we're all very motivated to help each other out with our new releases. So that's definitely helped a bit with widening the net a bit. So it's really, I find that having the right support systems in place can do just as much good as like putting in a ton of money into ads. Because you look at like groups like the Break-ins, for example, they do such a great job of marketing one another. And that's something that my group that is currently nameless, we or at least we don't have a trendy hashtag on Twitter. That's like what we try to do for each other as well. So I think that's the most beneficial for me.
Living in a big city like you do, you ever thought of just like taking a dozen books in a messenger bag, walking out the street and handing them out to random people?
I would if I wasn't just like cripplingly too shy to do that. But like I have reached out to several like, indie bookstores in the past to see if they were interested in carrying. There are also like those what's it called, like the free like little free library or whatever it's called. Yep. Like there are a couple of those in my neighborhood that I've been tempted to just like drop off a book or two in there, just like slide in one of my own books. But yeah, there's tons of great indie bookstore. Tons of great indie bookstores in my area too that I've reached out to. One or two of them does have at least one of my books in stock, which is cool to see.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten involved in like SPIFBO or anything like that?
Yeah. So I was in SPIFBO last year. So I was actually a semifinalist last year. Nice. And I was gonna enter upscale this year. But when I actually wrote it like with the intention of entering into SPIFBO or SPIFBox or whatever people are calling it. But I probably about like 2 months or so before submissions open, my wife and I suddenly learned that we had to move. And I was still in the middle of actually I still hadn't gotten my edits back. I should say I got my edits back probably about a week or two before the move. So I wasn't, and with the changes to the submission process where it was more lottery based, I wasn't going to rush through all my edits and then enter it and still not be able to get in. So it didn't seem worth all that stress to rush through everything against the backdrop of moving. But I do intend to enter it next year because I had a lot of fun with Spiffo last year. Made a lot of good friends. Several people who I still talk to all the time now. So Spiffo is wonderful. And yeah, we were talking prior to going live about BBNYA or BB whatever. Lavinia. And like all those different contests they're fun to be part of in varying degrees. Spiffo is definitely probably the more fun one, I think.
I think so, because BBNY doesn't really do anything as far as, you don't know anything that's going on with it. Nothing at all. I will say, and I'll bring this up because I mentioned it, I think, in one of our previous episodes. Somebody had asked about feedback, and I think Teresa was asking about feedback last time. And I said I hadn't gotten any. Well, I did finally get some today, and they put out like a little tweet, and they put your book out there, and they put like a line of the feedback that they gave, right? But then they actually send you a little bit more than that. And it was good feedback. Don't get me wrong. They were absolutely right with what they said. But it's kind of, it was very obvious they didn't read more than maybe a chapter, right? I mean, it's just really obvious. And maybe it didn't deserve to have more than a chapter read, but yeah. So it's I think Spiffbo seems to have much more of a community type feel for it, whereas BNY is such a wide net. It's thousands of people involved in it and everything, that there's just no personalization to it at all.
And especially where Spiffo has like the dedicated author Discord as well. So everybody's rooting everyone on, especially when new reviews come out. It's like you said, the community aspect of it is wonderful. And Sphinx was another one that I entered last year, the novella competition. And it was definitely like that same community aspect to a smaller degree, just because it was a newer contest, so it was much smaller in scale. And then the sci-fi one too, that I've had nothing to enter for, but I'm assuming it's the same deal, right?
Yeah, Spacebo is the easiest way. It's the self-published science fiction contest. So Spacebo.
Yeah, that one rolls off the tongue a bit more.
Yeah. Hey, when you send out ARCs, this is for anybody in the chat who's ever sent out ARCs and all that. Do you send out physical copies of the book, or do you just send them like a PDF or something?
So I used to send physical copies. I don't anymore. Part of it is just the wariness of. There was a big discussion on this topic a few months ago on Twitter about kind of like the ethics of reselling ARCs that you receive, like physical ARCs that you receive for free, and it kind of turned me off of like actually spending the money to send an ARC out to somebody with the possibility of them turning it around and reselling it.
Somebody could sell an ARC that I did. I just want them to write back and tell me how they did it.
Right.
I don't care if they do it, right? I just want to know how they did it. You managed to sell an unfinished book of mine. I'd like to use that knowledge to sell the finished version. Thank you very much.
Right. So,
EPUBs, Dave said.
Yeah. So nowadays I just send EPUBs. I just send them out through BookFunnel, and it's financially so much easier for me because I don't want to lose the dozens of dollars that I brought in.
Right.
And there are like a select few people who I will still send out physical ARCs to, but the number is like I can count on one hand. For like broad reach, it's much more comforting to me just like have that one secure link, and then that's that.
Yeah. Do you have a mailing list?
I do have a mailing list. So there is a mailing list on my website that you can sign up for. It's joseph-john-lee.com, and mailing list is there. You can get a free copy of my novella, which is a prequel novella for my Spellbinders series. Yes, thank you very much. And so I send out usually just one newsletter a month. Usually it's pretty quick, just like going over everything that happened in the past month. I might not have a ton to talk about in the coming months, just because it will be probably me just saying, hey, I outlined some more this month. Didn't really write anything else, but I outlined.
That's when you throw in a couple reviews. Like, I was thrilled to get this review. Fill space and you sell yourself.
Yeah, that's true too.
Who does your website?
I just do it with Squarespace.
Really? You did this with Squarespace?
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, I'll go through spurts with it that like I'm really dedicated to looking at it, then I forget that I have it for about 3 months. So I think it probably still says like pre-order the final book in my my other trilogy, and it came out 2 months ago. So
Upscale's only on your books link. It's not on the front page right now, but
yeah,
that's good looking site.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I gave it like a complete overhaul probably a couple months ago, because it was kind of the same deal of just like my second book was saying like out on like whatever the date was last year, like May 30th, and it was like, oh, this is just saying the same thing for the last year. I should probably change this.
If anybody out there is good at Squarespace designing, and I will trade some editing for a redesign of my website. Absolutely, because I freaking hate doing it.
Okay, so you said the next book in the upscale is coming out when? Early next year? Is that what you told?
Yeah, early next year. So it's off with my editor now. So I should hopefully have the edits back probably some point next month. And yeah, from there, just working with so I worked with Mibble Art on the cover for Upscaled. So I'll work with them again for this next one. It'll be called, in keeping with the dragon puns that I'm going to be doing for however many books I decide to write. This next one is going to be called Dragon Along. And so,
Dads everywhere rejoice.
Oh, I honestly, I have a full like Google sheet of just title ideas that are just puns. If I decide to go like full Discworld and just like do like it's like unrelated stories, like I have like a legal one that's just gonna be called Claw and Order, or or like there's I'm trying to think of a couple others. Winging It is just like the airline industry. And then like my dumbest one that I have no idea what I'm going to do anything for, but I'm just really excited for just really happy that I came up with the pun. It's just featuring Drake. So
okay. And Jen,
yeah, but yeah, Nick, you just automatically hit pre-order for everything that I do. I'll tell you absolutely nothing. Yeah, let the dragon to the floor. I'm down for that too.
We should have got to this earlier. We probably could have gotten like a string of suggestions here for you.
You know, yeah, I would suggest Fogbound. You should name your next book Fogbound.
I don't
know. I hear that you can make all kinds of silly puns with that. You don't even have to write a good story. You can just do puns like that off of that and sell a lot.
For some reason, it's really giving me the urge to just like take selfies in my car all the time. I don't know. Got him.
Nick. All right. So the book's out today, right?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, today, whatever.
Yeah, today, tomorrow, whatever. Like
It's almost
like all the royalties are gonna come in like probably like at the 11th hour tonight, so it might as well be today.
That's right. And you won't get them for 3 months. So,
Yeah.
So everybody go out, make yourself a fluff nutter sandwich, dunk it in some chocolate milk, wait till it strikes 12:01, go on to Amazon and order. I forgot the name of the book. That's horrible.
Upscale. You can order it now.
Upscale. I knew it was scale something, but I didn't want to be wrong. It absolutely would have been.
I mean, you could order it now and then make your fluffernutter sandwich while you're waiting for midnight.
You could do that. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Outstanding. Do you really, Nick? Do you really? I don't believe you entirely, but in next month, my wife goes to England for a couple of weeks to see her mother. So I will be sitting here with one, by God.
So she's England bound?
No, he says, no, I don't. What's that? Yeah.
So she's England bound.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bring home some Kit Kats that actually taste good. If you've ever been to England and had their Kit Kats, you know what I'm talking about. They are much, much better than American Kit Kats.
Yeah, there's a convenience store that's right around the corner from me that imports a lot of food from the UK and Ireland, and so like there are like the actual like the real good Kit Kats there too.
Oh
so
yeah,
I go there.
Load up a duffel bag full of those.
Yeah, my wife and I go there far too often than is healthy, but we give them lots of good business because we really just like sweets.
They have stuff every now and then in the local grocery store, but that like they have like Lyle's golden syrup. And my wife, for whatever reason, maybe she was just feeling nostalgic one day, she must have bought like 8 or 10 tins of Lyle's golden syrup. And I've been married over 30 years, and I cannot remember ever once having anything with that stuff in it. So now we just have syrup, golden syrup lying around doing nothing. So I guess if, we could eat it if we ever had to during, the apocalypse or something. All in. What are you talking about, Yale?
Don't know.
All right. Anyway.
Okay. Well, Joe, is there any obvious question that we did not ask you tonight?
There may have been, but it may not be obvious to me. So.
Okay, so other than everyone has to go do car selfies with their books.
Yep.
What? Did I miss something? I've been here the whole time. What did I miss?
That was Nick's suggestion.
Car selfies. I don't get it.
Okay, well, if you're ever on Twitter, now that you have an account, if you ever go on there, you would see Nick and his car selfies with his books.
Okay. All right.
So.
I need a cooler car.
What
like yours, Mike, that's in the shop and just a big old POS that's going to stop you from going to a convention this weekend.
Yeah, they'd probably be upset if I had to climb into the car when it's up on the lift. That would probably not go well.
What was it? A week ago, we were in West Virginia, and I said to you, you really need to think about getting a new car. Because this one looks like it has scabies or something. And it's going to, like, freaking the car version of leprosy. And,
So Joe, Dave is, I guess, trying to help in quotes.
Ooh, Dragon Plushie selfies. That is a good one.
Yeah.
And that is his marketing for you. A tip for you.
Hey, it can't be any worse than what we do.
I need to find druids and do selfies with them, but I haven't found any druids yet.
Oh, dude, you can find some. In West Virginia, there was that woman next to me selling her little crystal wands, the wands that spoke to her and told her what color freaking wire to wrap around them and all that kind of thing. And then there was some other woman talking to her about the witch that she had met who was teaching her the ways of the coven and blah, blah, blah. It was really kind of weird. And this wasn't like, this woman was 65, 70 if she was a day. So not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just kind of trying to set the scene. So they're out there, Mike. The druids are out there.
No, I'd have to take the clothes off of Grommy, and that makes me uncomfortable.
It makes me uncomfortable.
So, okay, well, before we descend too much more into silliness, which we can obviously do,
Yes.
I think we're going to give everyone the balance of the night back to themselves to do something productive or not.
Yes. And let me just say really quick, we are at 302 subscribers still, so 198 left. Tell your friends. Just,
And this is what happens if we get to 500 by the end of the year.
but everybody here knows that because you've all seen it. So
Well, Joe doesn't hang on till the end of the show, so he may not have seen this before.
that's right. Yeah, Joe, this is for you.
Yeah,
And
guilty.
He's going to get a tattoo in his head, not a pencil drawing, but an actual
Perfect.
tattoo.
So tell your friends, get a bot farm, whatever you have to do.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Appreciate your time. We're back, next Tuesday?
Sounds right.
It's a while. Oh, Sunday roast with all the trimmings. Dude, don't even. That sounds great. The 30th is when we're back. So, yeah, another full week, actually. More than a week.
Wow.
Next Wednesday? Is that when the 30th is?
Friday.
No, next Friday. Yeah, I can add 8.
This is
So,
why
yeah,
you need a spreadsheet.
What's that?
This is why you need a spreadsheet. It'll do the editing for you.
Yeah. So we're going to be away from you all for a full week. I hope you can make it. I don't know maybe I'll get some writing done.
I know. Now I don't have excuses for not writing. That's what this show is good for.
You do not. All right. So, Joseph, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I hope that book does swimmingly well and you can talk about hundreds instead of dozens.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Nowhere to go but up, right?
That is one way of looking at it.
I don't know. We're pretty good at going down.
It seems that way.
Oh, well. It's
Let us
time
know
to
when the next one comes out. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for having me. Thanks for having me on. It's been a blast.
All right. You have a wicked day.
You too.
Okay.